I like to start every freehand drawing on skin with either a yellow or a light green waterproof marker. By using a light colored marker, you can scribble quite a bit in these early stages while just getting the basic shapes established, without having to worry about a lot of erasing later on. With a sketchbook drawing of the design sitting right next to the client's foot, I'm doing a simple, rough job of laying in the most important structural shapes of the design as planned out in the sketch. It's good to work loosely and freely at this stage and not worry about details, just structure. By the time I'm ready to start with the darker colored markers, all the important features of the design will be in place, right where they need to be. With the basic structural shapes of the design roughed in place using a light yellow marker, I'm now going in with a medium colored marker and using it to clean up these shapes and fine-tune their edges, as shown in figure 238A. This is a chance to take the drawing to the next level while continuing to refer to the original sketchbook drawing and conveying the important information from that drawing onto the skin. At this stage, it's good to use only a medium marker, not a dark one, to allow more room for development later in the drawing process. The goal here is to dial in the basics of the sketch without getting caught up too much in detail or nuance. This consists largely of cleaning up and darkening lines, but also includes some simple shading in the background areas to establish and clarify the pos-neg relationships in the design. Although still not quite ready for tattooing, this step brings the freehand drawing much closer to being finished. It's good to avoid using the darkest colored marker until all the important compositional decisions have been made and put down on the skin with light and medium markers. This makes it possible to avoid a lot of messy erasing and editing, allowing for a much cleaner and more readable drawing to work with. The first step with the dark marker is usually to do a final pass over the lines and edges of the important shapes in the design, since they're so fundamental in the clarity of a freehand marker drawing and need to be readable even as the drawing is fading and getting wiped away. At the same time though, that same dark marker is used to sketch in some of the textures and incidental details of the piece, trying to convey all the important information from the sketchbook drawing. Occasionally, the medium colored marker is brought back out again and used as a blending tool for developing the shading in the drawing. Because these markers will re-dampen any marker inks already on the skin, in effect, they can be used like watercolor markers by blending their inks, providing access to the entire value range as shown in figure 238B and 239A. With practice, this can be done very quickly and in such a way that really puts a lot of important information from that original sketch onto the skin, making it possible to start the tattoo without at any time needing to stop, think, and make important decisions about shading or pos-neg relationships. All effort can then be diverted to simply rendering the piece. Just like when I tattoo, when freehanding on skin with markers, I like to frequently switch between tools as the job calls for, rather than following any rigid step-by-step plan. I find that, far from being an added extra step, this blending stage can really provide a lot of insight about how the final piece should be rendered. Spending a few minutes shading the piece with marker allows for a much more intuitive grasp of how the dark and light areas of the tattoo need to relate to each other, and how the overall balance of the piece will read. As always, more time spent in preparation will lead to an easier and better tattooing experience.